Hello, my dear students. Welcome to Sankalp Learning Classes. Today we are discussing the some important questions. Already we learned the concepts of some important concepts of this control and coordination chapter. So today we are going to solve the some important questions on this chapter. Okay. Yes. So some important multiple choice question, 1 mark, 2 mark, and 4 mark questions that we are discussing in this class. Okay. Yes, let us start with the first question. An example for positive geotropism in plant. So an example for positive geotropism in plant is growth of shoot, growth of roots into deep soil, growth of tendrils of creepers, upward growth of roots. Yes, what is the which one is the example for the positive geotrophism? Growth of the shoot, that is the negative geotrophism, and growth of roots into the deep soil. Yes, so the root that is growing towards the soil, that is the positive geotrophism. So option B is the correct answer. Next question. The hormone that regulates carbohydrate, protein, and fat metabolism in the human body is. So, which hormone is going to regulate this metabolism in human body? Testosterone, adrenaline, insulin, and the thyroxine. Here testosterone, that is produced by the testes and which involved in the production of the sperms and the secondary sexual character in males. Adrenaline, that is released by the adrenal gland and helps to face the situation. Okay. Insulin, that is helpful for the maintenance of the blood sugar level. So here the correct answer, that is the option D, thyroxine. Option D is the correct answer for this question. Next question. The incorrect statement related to thyroxine hormone among the following is. The incorrect statement related to the thyroxine hormone. It regulates the fat metabolism. Its deficiency leads to the goiter. It is secreted by parathyroid gland. Iodine in the food is essential for its production. Yes, incorrect statements that you have to find. It regulates the fat metabolism. Yes, it involved in the fat metabolism. The deficiency leads to the goiter. Yes, that is the correct one. So it is released by the parathyroid gland. No, it is not released by the parathyroid gland. It is released by the thyroid gland. Iodine in the food is essential for its production. Yes, that is also correct one. The incorrect statement, that is option C. It is secreted by the parathyroid gland. Yes. Yes, students, comment the correct answer in the chat box. A pot that has growing seedling is kept in the dark room. A burning candle is placed near it for few days. The top part of the seedling bends towards the light, burning candle. This is chemotropism, phototropism, geotropism, hydrotropism. So here in the dark room, that the seedling is bending towards the light, right? So the bending of the stem that is towards the light, that is chemotrophism. No. Geotrophism, that is towards the soil or gravity, so that is also wrong one. Hydrotropism, so that is not the correct one. Phototropism, that is towards the light, so that is the correct answer. Option B is the correct answer. Yes, Sridevi, you are right. Option B is the correct answer. Next question. Plants get rid of excess of water by this process. Option A, transpiration, photosynthesis, respiration, translocation. Plants get rid of excess of water by this process. Option A, transpiration. Option B, photosynthesis. Option C, respiration. Option D, translocation. Here, transpiration, that is the loss of water, that is the excess of water that is lost by this process, that is called as the transpiration. So, option A is the correct answer. Yes, 5A. Next question. The gap between two neurons is option A dendrite, option B axon, option C synapse, option D cell body. The gap between the two neurons. So axon, dendrite, which receives the, that is the branched part. Axon, that is the elongated part. Synapse is the correct answer. That is option C, synapse, that is the gap between the two neurons. Option C is the correct answer. The correct path of movement of nerve impulses in the following diagram is. Here, this is the diagram of the neuron. Nerve impulses that is received by the dendrites, that is the branched part, dendrites, then which move to the cell body, then into the axon, then reaches the nerve endings. So here P, which represents the dendrites, and R, which represents the cell body, then S, that is the axon, then it reaches the nerve ending. PRSQ. See the option A wrong, option C also wrong. PQRS, that is wrong one. The correct option is PRSQ. Option D is the correct answer. Dear students, please don't talk unnecessarily in the chat box. Just you write the answer for this question. Otherwise, don't chat in the chat box. It is difficult to find the answers, those the students, so those who are written the correct answer in the chat box, it is difficult to identify if you chat unnecessarily in the chat box. Next question. A person immediately starts running soon after observing the snake. The correct transmission of path of impulse in the following situation is receptor, sensory neuron, brain, relay neuron, motor neuron, and the effector. Receptor, sensory neuron, spinal cord, relay neuron, motor neuron, and the effector. Option C, effector, spinal cord, sensory neuron, relay neuron, and the motor neuron receptor. Then option D, effector, motor neuron, relay neuron, brain, sensory neuron, and the receptor. Here, receptors, so that is the first uh, step in the reflex action. So that is the, so you can eliminate the option D because effector, that is at the first And then sensory neuron, brain. Here, brain is not involved in this process. So, option A is also wrong one. See, here also effector is there. So, first the changes in the environment that is received by the receptor. Yes, the correct answer that is receptor, sensory neuron, spinal cord relay neuron, and the motor neuron effector. So this is the correct option. Option B is the correct answer. Yes, Sridevi, you are right. Option B is the correct answer. Then, roots of the plants are positively geotrophic, negatively geotrophic, positively phototrophic, none of this. Here roots of the plants, they grow towards the soil, so that is grow towards the gravity. So positively geotrophic, option positively geotropic, option A is the correct answer. Which plant hormone promotes the cell division? Option A auxin, option B gibberellin, option C cytokinin, and option D abscisic acid. Here, which plant hormone promotes the cell division? That is auxin, gibberellin, cytokinin, abscisic acid. So, cell division that is promoted by the cytokinin. Option C is the correct answer. Option C is the correct answer. The main function of abscisic acid in plants is, what is the main function of the abscisic acid in plant? To promote the cell division, to inhibit the plant growth, to promote the growth of stem, to increase the length of cells. Yes, so what is the correct answer for this question? Yes, to promote the cell division. Is it correct answer? Inhibit the growth, promote the growth of stem, increases the length of cells. Here, abscisic acid that inhibit the growth of the plant. So that is the correct answer. So option B is the correct answer. Option B, to inhibit the growth of the plant. So that is the correct answer. Next one. A part of the plant body which responds to the instruction sent from the nervous system is called, a part of the body, sorry, not plant body, the part of the body that responds to the instruction sent from the nervous system. So yes, what it is called, which receives the response to the instruction sent from the nervous system, which is responsible for the information sent by the nervous system. Which part it is called? It is called as the muscles. So 12th one, receptor which receives the information, and the effector. So effector in that muscles, right? So muscles which receives the, which is able to respond the information sent by the system. So B, sorry, effector. Okay, effector is the correct answer. Then Which nerves transmit impulses from central nervous system towards the muscle cells? Which nerves transmit the impulses from central nervous system towards the muscle cells? So central nervous system to the spinal cord to the muscle cells. Sensory neurons, motor neurons, relay nerves, cranial nerves. Which is the correct answer? The correct option, that is the motor neurons. Sensory neuron, they send the information, they transmit the information from receptor to the central nervous system. But here central nervous system towards the muscle cells, that is the motor neurons. 13, option B is the correct one. Yes, dear students, if you know the answer, please comment in the comment box. The highest coordinating center in the human body is spinal cord, heart, brain, and the kidney. Yes, the highest coordinating center in the human body, that is brain. Option C, brain. Then posture and balance of the body is controlled by option A, pons, option B, medulla oblongata, option C, cerebellum, option D, cerebrum. Posture and balance of the body is controlled by pons, medulla oblongata, cerebellum, and the cerebrum. Yes, that is the cerebellum. So that is the part of the hindbrain that controls this balance of the body, and medulla oblongata that controls the involuntary actions. Okay, cerebrum, that is mainly for the voluntary actions. 15, option C is the correct answer. Then an illustration for reflex action among the following is, which of the following is the reflex action? Moving a chair, feeling the taste, withdrawing the hands back when unknowingly touch the hot pan, clapping at the end of the function. Which one of the following is the reflex action? Yes. Option C, withdrawing hands back when unknowingly touch a hot pan. Next. The hormone secreted by pancreas. Which hormone is secreted by pancreas? So that regulates the metabolic activities, regulates the blood sugar level, stimulates the growth in the body of organisms, increases the bathing and the increases the breathing rate. Sorry, increases the breathing rate. Here, the correct option. So here pancreas, which releases the insulin. What is the function of insulin? That regulates the blood sugar level. Option B is the correct answer. Then, which next 1 mark question we are discussing? Which part of the central nervous system control the reflex activities? Which control the reflex action? What's the correct answer? That is the spinal cord. So spinal cord which control the reflex activities. What is the role of abscisic acid in plants? What is the role of abscisic acid in plants? So which inhibit the growth of the plants. Abscisic acid which inhibit the growth of the plants. Next question. Which hormone regulates the blood sugar level? Yes, which hormone regulates the blood sugar level? That is the insulin. Okay, the correct answer is insulin. Which part of the brain control the involuntary activities? Mainly the hindbrain and the midbrain. Hindbrain and the midbrain. Hindbrain and the midbrain, which control the which control the involuntary actions. Okay. What is the function of adrenaline hormone? So it it prepares the body to face the situation. It helps the body to face the situations. So, for example, any adrenaline hormone is that prepares the body for the stressful and dangerous situation to face this type of situations by increasing the heart rate, blood pressure, and the energy level. So, this is also one more question. Next question. Which part of the brain that maintains the balance, mainly the posture of, and the equilibrium of the body? Yes, which part of the brain? So that helps to maintain this, that is called as the cerebellum. The part of the hindbrain, cerebellum, is responsible for the maintaining posture and equilibrium of the body. Then why is the use of iodized salt advisable? So why we should eat the iodized salt here? If there is a deficiency of iodine, we get the disease called goiter. So hence use of iodized salt is advisable. That iodine is necessary for the thyroid gland to make the thyroxine hormone. So without the iodine, thyroid gland is not able to produce the thyroxine hormone. So this iodine is very necessary for this gland to work properly. Next question. Why are some patients of diabetics treat just a minute. Why are some patients of diabetes treated by giving the injections of insulin? So in case of diabetes, the patients are not able to produce the insulin, so that maintains the blood sugar level. So the injections of insulin that helps to maintain the normal blood sugar level. Yes, this is the answer. Which part of the brain receive the information from the sensory organs? Yes, which part of the brain that is responsible for this? That is the forebrain. Then, what is reflex action? How do you define the reflex action? Here, a reflex action is an involuntary, automatic, and rapid response to the stimulus. So, here, automatic, that is involuntary, and rapid response to the stimulus. Okay. Reflex arcs are more efficient for quick responses in animals. Justify this statement. So, reflex actions, so that helps to give the quick responses because spinal cord is involved in this. Spinal cord which send the response to this, the information to the muscles, and the responses are very quick. Folding of leaves of sensitive plant on touching with a finger is not a tropism. Why? Because tropism means movement towards some responses like what you call light or gravity or water or chemicals. But touching, that is the that cause the movement of water and um, droop the leaves. It causes the drooping of the leaves or the folding of the leaves. So it's not a tropism because the movement or the folding of the leaves that does not takes place in a particular direction. Next question. Mention the function of the following plant hormones. Auxin, cytokinin. Auxin, that helps for the elongation of the cells and mainly elongation of the stem, right? And the cytokinin, which is secreted where which cause the active cell division and also helps for the growth. Very important. Cytokinins promote the cell division, which cause the cell division, and it is natural then that they are present greater concentration areas of the rapid cell division, such as in fruits and seeds. How is the movement of leaves of the sensitive plant different from the movement of the shoot towards the light? Here, the movement of the leaves of the sensitive plant, that is independent of growth. Means growth is not involved in that movement, but shoots grow towards the light, that is growth which involves the growth. Yes, so this is the answer. How do auxins promote the growth of the tendril around a support? Here, auxins help the cell grow longer and it's synthesized at the shoot tip. When a tendril comes in contact with support, auxins stimulate faster and growth of the cells also opposite side. So the growth of the cells on the opposite side, that and so that the tendril forms the coil around the support. So the auxin that helps to grow the cells longer, that helps to form the tendrils, which helps to form the coils around the support. How do we detect the smell of agarbatti or incense stick? Here, forebrain is responsible for thinking work, and it has separate specialized areas for hearing, smelling, sight, taste, and the touch. So the forebrain also has the regions that collect the information and or impulses from the various receptors. So here, when the smell of the incense stick reaches us, forebrain detects it, and then forebrain interprets by putting it together with the information receiving from the receptors and also with the information already stored in the brain. So mainly the forebrain that involves in this process, the receptor present in the nose which receives and the transmit the impulses to the forebrain, and forebrain that send the response or the impulses to the parts whenever it is needed. Next question. What is the role of the brain in reflex action? What is the role of the brain in reflex action? Here, brain directly not involved in this process. Mainly spinal cord is involved in this. The brain is only responsible for the signal and the response. So directly not the brain is involved in this process. What is the function of receptors in our body? Think of the situation where the receptors do not work properly. What problems are likely to arise? So receptors mainly usually located in our sense organs. Receptors mainly located in our sense organs such as inner ear, the nose, and the tongue. So the gustatory receptors will detect the taste while the olfactory receptors will detect the smell. So if these receptors are not working properly, it's harmful to our body. It may cause some effects on our body. How does chemical coordination occur in plants? How does chemical coordination that occur in plants? Plants do not have nervous system. Plants respond to the stimuli by showing the movements. The growth, development, and the responses to the environment in plant is controlled and coordinated by the special class of chemical substances that is called as the hormones. Mainly hormones are involved in the plants. There is no nervous system in plants to control and coordinate the body of the organism. Next question. So how this control and coordination that occurs in plant? So if you want the explanation, you can write this: how the auxins are synthesized, and how cytokinins, gibberellins, and abscisic acid that helps for the control and coordination in plant's body. How does phototropism occurs in plants? The growth movement in plants in response to the light stimulus known as the phototropism. Phototropism means that is the response to the plant which respond to the light. The shoots show positive phototropism and the roots grow negative phototropism. This means that the shoots bend towards the source of light whereas the roots bend away from the light source. Which signals will get disrupted in case of a spinal cord injury? So the reflex are connection between input and output nerves meet the bundle in the spinal cord. So this, if the spinal cord so that will get injured, that get disrupt, disrupted. So in fact, nerves from all over the body meet in a bundle in the spinal cord on their way to the brain. So in case of any injury to the spinal cord, the signals which are coming from the nerves as well as signals coming from the receptors, that will be disrupted. So that is the place where the nerves from the different organs that meet, right? So these all receptors will be disrupted. Then some 3 mark questions also will discuss in this session. So these all questions that are very important questions, and which are asked in a different exams, previous year question paper also. You can see these all questions. How does touch me not plant respond to touch? Explain. Mention any one function of auxin and the abscisic acid hormones. So here, when we touch the plant, so here movement of the plant or the leaves of the plant bend down. So here the plants use electrical chemical means to convey the information from cell to cell. Here, the cells change their shape by changing the amount of water in them. So, resulting swelling and shrinking, and therefore in the changing shapes. How the touch me not plant respond to the uh, touch? So, this is how we choose the chemical and electrical means to convey the message. Mention any one function of each of the auxin and the abscisic acid hormones. Here you have to write any one function of abscisic acid which inhibit the growth of the plant, and the auxin that helps to the cells to grow longer. How muscle cells respond for nerve impulse. Mention the function of each of insulin and estrogen hormones in humans. So how the muscle cells respond in our body? So try to find out the answer for this question. No. Mention the function of insulin. So write the function of insulin and the estrogen. What is the function of the estrogen? So that we discussed in the last class. How phototropism, thigmotropism, and chemotropism coordinated the plant apparent movement of creepers so towards the particular direction. So phototropism means that is movement of the or growth of the plant or the climber towards the light, and thigmotropism, so that is towards the touch, right? So the plant's part that um, grow faster, so which is attached to the climber, this part grow faster compared to the other parts, right? And chemotropism coordinated the apparent movement of the creepers so towards the particular direction. So this chemotropism also that is present in the plant. So these all tropism that helps the plant to grow in a particular direction. Here answer for this question. Climbing plants, phototropism guides the shoot towards the light. Thigmotropism triggers the tendrils to curl around the support once touched. And chemotropism can play a role in detecting the specific chemicals on a potential support, all working together to direct the creeper's movement towards the suitable surface and climb upon, effectively coordinating its direction through the combination of light, touch, and the chemical cues. So this is how the uh, these all tropism that helps to the plant to climb. What is the role of insulin, estrogen, and thyroxine hormones in our body? Yes, what is the role of these? Insulin, estrogen, thyroxine, and hormone. Insulin, which regulates the blood sugar level, estrogen function, that is responsible for the secondary sexual character in females, and also menstrual cycle. Thyroxine hormone, that is responsible for the metabolism of carbohydrates, proteins, and the fats. Draw the diagram showing the structure of the human brain with the following parts: midbrain and the pons. This diagram is very important. So in many question paper you can see the question. So this question, draw the neat label diagram of the human brain. A person's face has become pale and his breathing rate has increased due to the fear. Analyze the process which enables the person to deal with this situation. So here the person he should be get ready to face the situation. So adrenaline hormone that is released from the adrenaline gland that helps to face this situation. Yes, this is the correct answer for this question. So you can note down the answer for this question about the adrenaline hormone, how it is going to help to face the situation. What happens at the synapse between the two neurons? So let's read the question. Synapse allows the delivery of the impulses in a chemical form. So the impulses that transmit in the chemical form from neurons to the other neurons and the target points such as muscle cells. Tiny gap between the last portion of axon of one neuron and the other dendrites and the dendrites of the other neuron known as the synapse. At a time, it acts as one-way path and transmit the impulses in one directional way, only one direction only. What is the need for system of control and coordination in organism? Why the organisms need control and coordination? Yes, what's the answer for this question? Yes, please note the answer for this question. Why control and coordination system that is required in organism? Next question. What is the difference between the manner in the which movement takes place in the sensitive plant and movements in our legs? So the movement in the sensitive plant that is due to the change in the water content in the cell, and movement in our legs, so that is the movement that takes place in the sensitive plant, so that is in the mimosa pudica, that occurs response to the touch. So for this movement, the information transmitted from cell to cell by electric chemical signals. For this movement to occurs, the plant cells change shape by changing the amount of water. But movement in our legs, what is the difference? So the movement in our legs, that is example for the voluntary action. So that is because of our own action, so that because of that the movement of legs takes place. This signal messages for no action are passed to the brain and hence are consciously controlled. In animal muscle cells, some proteins are found which allow the movement to occur. Explain the structure and function of the neuron. Already I explained this question while teaching. So the question will come like this. So how are involuntary actions and reflex actions are different from each other? Involuntary actions, so these are not controlled by our will. So mainly these are controlled by medulla of our brain, medulla oblongata. So these are the sudden actions. Mainly it is controlled by spinal cord. Spinal cord is responsible to control this. Brain is not involved in this, but involuntary actions that involves the brain. That is the main difference. So important 4 mark questions. Which part of the human brain controls the following activities? So involuntary activities, that is the midbrain and hindbrain. So in hindbrain, especially medulla oblongata. Thinking process, that is the forebrain. Posture and balance of the body, that is the cerebellum. What are phytohormones? Name 3 phytohormones that promote the growth. Phytohormones, so the plant hormones, how do you define the phytohormones that you have to write, and the 3 hormones that promote the cell growth. Let's name the hormones that control the following activities in man. Regulating the sugar level, that is insulin. Then menstrual cycle, that is by the estrogen. Then preparing the body to face the situation, adrenaline. Then regulating the metabolism, that is the thyroxine. Then name any two tropism that occurs in plants. Give an example for each. Tropism, phototropism and the geotropism. Phototropism, that is bending of the plant stem towards the light. Geotropism, movement of the moving growth of the roots towards the soil. That is the example for the geotropism. Important question. So this question was asked in last year model question paper. What is reflex arc? Trace the sequence of events that occurs in this structure when a bright light is focused on our eyes. Here you have to define the reflex arc. Then when a bright light is focused on our eyes, receptors in our eyes which receives the light and transmit the impulses through the sensory neuron, then it is transported to the spinal cord. So the relay neuron, then it transmits the action to the through the motor neurons, then to the effector, that is the eyes. Okay, the eyes, so which cause the closing of the eyes. So that the movement of the muscle that is present in eyes, so that helps to close the eyes. So that is also important question. Yes, this is how. Yes, one of the important question. Name the given structure. So this is the reflex arc. What is the function? What is its function? Reflex arc, which gives the immediate response to the stimulus. Mention the function of the parts labeled A and B. So what is this labeled A? and the labeled B. Labeled A, that is the sensory neuron, and label B, that is the effector. What is the function of effector and the sensory neuron, that you should write. These structures in animals said to be more efficient to give quick response. Why? Because spinal cord is involved in this. So this structure is very helpful to give the quick response. So this is the very important question. Please note down this question. So answer for this question. Yes, which hormone is produced by having iodine rich salt in the diet? That is the thyroxine. Mention the gland that secretes this hormone, that is the thyroid gland. Which disease is caused due to the deficiency of the iodine in our diet? That is the goiter, and write the symptom of this disease. Yes, dear students, so these are the some important questions that we discussed in this session. So I hope this session is very helpful for you people. Thank you. We'll continue in the next session. Yes.